Welcome to Linda's Corner. My name is Linda Bjork, and today we're going to be talking about engineering health and well-being. I'm delighted to welcome special guest, Dr. T. Dr. T is a human engineer. He holds a doctorate of chiropractic degree, as well as a degree in human biology. He is also a certified clinical hypnotherapist, certified massage therapist, and the originator of the world's foremost remote healing training, TNT, which stands for Total Knowledge Technique. You can reach Dr. T at his website, ahumanengineer.com, and I'll include a link in the description. Welcome, Dr. T. I'm so glad that you could join with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Linda. It's great to be here.
It's a pleasure. And you are a bit of a mystery to me, I must say. I checked out your website. I've watched several of the testimonial videos and seen and heard these wonderful things that you can accomplish. And yet, I still don't quite understand what it is that you do and how you do it. So can you help me understand what a human engineer is?
Well, it's just a name. It's just a name somebody gave me. So it's it's nothing I came up with. I I have no no claim over the name. But a client woke up one time 22 years ago from a session. We did all kinds of stuff on him, and he says, "You're not going to be a chiropractor. You're a human engineer." And the name just stuck. And so I love the name because I've done so many different. I've been a helicopter mechanic, a boat mechanic, built houses, barns, and worked on animals, and I've done a lot of different trades. And so it was kind of fun to have him give me that moniker. Thank you, Ben, wherever you are in the world. But I guess it's just the idea that I'm just very curious. I've always been very curious. And so anything that works, I've looked at and looked into and dissected and taken apart in the healing realms. And I just have been able to get rid of all the stuff that doesn't really cut the mustard, stuff that just doesn't hold, doesn't work long. My philosophy has always been to get people out of my office and living their lives, because I just feel that that's what we're in this business for, is to have as quick as possible results that last, and hopefully see people a few times a year. And it just kind of changes how you approach healing. But as far as the moniker and what it is I do, well, that's all been changing over the years. And it really got interesting about 7 or 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago now. Time goes by so fast. But I've been working with angels, and I know that's just seems like a stretch, but it's just not. That's what does all of the healing now. I am 99% a remote healer now, and I don't even like the word healer, because it's not really me. It's this realm that we ask help for. And using intention and knowledge of the body and how things go wrong and how things get confused, we're able to direct these energies, these omnipotent beings, to do the work for us. And I know it just sounds really far out and crazy, but that's what I do, and that's what I teach. And through all of the training that I've done, I've figured out how to really transfer that knowledge really quickly. Really, the transfer of knowledge happens in the first hour. People are able to do what I do within the first hour of the training. It's absolutely, they're big words, but I don't know what else you call it. But it's miraculous. It truly is miraculous, and especially for people who've never done any healing, to be able to do it right away it's really, we're all pretty shocked. But within the first hour, everyone's just the word of the day becomes really. Really, that's a really, you just can't believe it, but it's really happening. And so that's what I do now. I ask angels for help.
Wow. Okay. So let's see if we can unpack this a little bit. Let's go back. I loved the idea that your intention is to be able to look for things that work. And that requires some open-mindedness right there, where your intent is to help people get in your office and get out and get on with their lives. It's not, come see me 3 times a week for the next 15 years, and then we'll reassess after that kind of a thing. So I'm loving where this is going for. And I love the openness that you're willing to adapt and change, and how you said that your practice has changed over the years as you find different things that work. So I love this idea of being open to what works. Now, where you have directed yourself and where you are doing now, this is something that is very new to me. Not that the idea that angels are new, but that the idea of asking angels for help and healing, and that you're turning around and training people. And it sounds like they don't necessarily have to have prior training like you do in the healing arts, but they're able to access this information. So very interesting. So what led you to this particular direction? Was there something that happened, or where did you learn about it?
Well, a client, it's all my clients. A client brought a book in once, 11 years ago. Like I said, that's when I first really tried it and really focused on it in a sense of like really, putting that intention, that real desire to have to get help from them. I had been doing all these intentional based techniques and really having a lot of miracles. There's a lot of beautiful work out there, but even that stuff I started finding just wasn't doing what I was hoping it would do. And they are missing a lot of, if you ask me, most of the techniques out there are missing a big key of dis-ease and discomfort in the human body these days. We've changed. The human body has changed. Acupuncture doesn't do what it used to. Chiropractic doesn't do what it used to. So the human body has been changing. We're exposed to electromagnetics now on a scale we've never seen. There's so many more poisons and toxins in our food and water. We eat organic. Well, you can test all that organic food. You're going to find all kinds of stuff crawling around on it. So it's the humans we've just changed. And so I've always been curious, and I'm still curious. And so even at this last seminar, people suggested some things, and I've been looking at some different possibilities of disease process that we're using some of this work to investigate to see if it can help with other things other than we're finding. So I love having people bring stuff out, and I love experimenting. I love being open. I really try to teach that to people that, as we enter into this realm, what basically in a nutshell, what we do is we are accessing consciousness to see what's gone wrong with someone. So we are accessing the idea that we are all connected. We are all connected through some invisible field that is consciousness. You have this happen. Your viewers have had this happen. You think it's somebody you care about. They call you. You ask a friend about somebody you haven't seen in years. The next thing you know, they're talking to somebody you haven't. I just got a text from someone, yesterday that, hey, remember I had a bad tooth 30 years ago? Told me what to do about it. I haven't talked to her in 30 years. And, I get a text from her, and I think I thought about her about 2 weeks or so ago, so we access consciousness to figure out what's gone wrong. And then we use angels to do the healing. So it was this woman brought in a book, and it talked about how to act. Basically, it was an older book, and it was just it had kind of a goofy paragraph about, lighting some candles and sitting in a room and getting ready and doing all these little things you have to do to ask, and then have a specific invocation to bring the angels in. And she was like, here, read this. I'm like, you want me to read this at, on your time, at your rate, how much money I'm charging you an hour? And she said, yep, I want you to read this. And so I did. And I got done, and I kind of made, I just telling me the truth, is I kind of made fun of it because I thought it was a little silly, And she says, well, I want you to do that. I said, well, I'm not going to do this. We don't have time to do this, And she said, well, do it however you would do it. I said, okay. And so we did it how I would do it. And we had a miracle. We had an undeniable miracle right in front of us. And it was all within 10 or 15 seconds. She had a really very unusual, she had burning throughout her cranium, all through her mouth, her throat, her gastrointestinal tract, all the way down to her rear end. Burning, it's a crazy burning, her whole body. And it just disappeared instantly within 10 or 15 seconds. And that was my introduction. That was the first actual healing that I did with them. And then, you go through years of doing this and perfecting it and figuring out how to use them in different ways to access them, what else they can do. You start realizing you can ask them for anything. You can fix physical stuff, mental stuff. As you start working with them over time, I started learning, wow, I can do this I don't have to do all that other stuff I used to do. You see my office, I got boxes and boxes and boxes of books and tools and devices. I don't need any of that stuff. It's all collecting dust now. And then it was clients who were like, you got to teach this stuff. You got to, and once they, my clients, there was about 3 of them who, 2 of them would drive. One would drive up from San Diego. Another one would drive out from the Valley. Had an office in Los Angeles. No one would drive down from like Fresno. So they're driving a couple hours to see me, and they're just like, you have to teach this. You have to show me how to do this. And I just, it really just started happening. Really, the angels just started giving me hints of what it was, how I was doing it. There's a few things that you do physically to have more access. And so it just kind of started showing it to me. And I don't really, I don't see them. I don't know, I don't know how else to describe it to you other than it's like a thought would come in. I would be in my usual curiosity mode. Why the heck didn't that work? I just worked on somebody and they're emailing me the next day. What the heck what did I do different? Why didn't that happen for them? Why do I have to go back and help them, double my time for the price of one? Well, what the heck's going on here? And they start showing me the little tiny things that I would be doing that would help that intention be more clear for them to understand. So we have to have very, very clear intention on what we want them to do. And that's the other part of the training that's so beautiful, is that I've taken all this 25 years of this stuff and put it into a real like recipe. Basically, it's a recipe. And is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it spiritual? Those are basically the 3 things that we look at. And once you figure out what's priority, you just kind of go down a recipe and follow it, and stuff disappears.
Okay. Amazing. So as I'm trying to go back and again unpack this, I loved that you mentioned that when you were first introduced to this, that you thought, this is weird. Because I think as we're introducing this and our listeners are going to hear, their probably initial reaction is going to be, wait, what? What are you talking about? Is this some kind of faith healing, or where are we going with this? And I don't understand everything, but the parts that seem to make sense to me, and I've heard use some different terms of having that intuition where you kind of have an inspiration, or some people call it a gut feeling, where the thoughts and ideas come and it's not from you, or at least if you're humble enough, it's not from you. And then to be able to act on those and to move forward, and then beautiful things take place. And I love as you're looking at this kind of integrated wholeness, that our physical bodies are very much related to our emotional and our spiritual. And we talk sometimes about psychosomatic, where we have this connection between what our minds, what our thinking, what our experiences are, and the influences on our body. And it used to be years ago that when someone would use that term, it was kind of basically like, you're a hypochondriac. There's nothing really wrong with you. It's just all in your head, right? And now, as more research is coming about and we're opening up our eyes and understanding a little bit, we're recognizing that there is a huge connection between our thoughts, between our experiences, between our traumas, and our physical manifestations in our bodies and the way that we feel. And so as we're putting those kinds of things together, maybe you can help me understand a little bit more, but as I'm listening, these are the kinds of things that are working and helping me to understand. Am I close?
You absolutely are. The mind is such a beautiful thing. We're just so lucky to have this machine, this thing that we can think with and love with and cry with and do all, have compassion with and do all these things that we do with our mind. But it's a double-edged sword. And so that's the very first thing that we get into, is how our life experiences create these blips. So they're like little blips in the matrix. And so many techniques talk about different types. Gosh, I studied one, they had 20 different definitions of these things. And what we do is we use the angels to clear out these blips. And many times depending if it just depends on what we find. Is it purely emotional? So, it's all equally bad. You can have a motorcycle accident. You think, okay, I broke my spine. It's entirely a physical cause of pain. Well, it's not. There's a huge emotional affect in that motorcycle accident that most people, you don't find that kind of healing out there where we're looking at the emotional affect of these things. And these will continue, these aches and pains, for years and years and years. And we just saw a guy in our last class, I think it was 4 years ago, he was in a motorcycle accident. And, he's walking around 9 to 10 pain, real tough guy. I called him Stone because he just was a tough guy. But here he is, he's like, he's butter underneath that stone. He was, he's in pain all the time. And, it was all emotional around that accident and the aftermath, losing his job, losing his career. All that stuff adds up. And so we look very deeply into the mind-body connection because it's a huge, huge part of healing. Another area that we look at that most people just are unaware of is the idea that, we're a super microorganism. And so these microorganisms are no different than us. They have consciousness. They have to defecate just like we do. They create waste products in our body. They're just starting to understand we have these huge microbiomes. Well, these microbiomes and even normal microbiomes can produce toxins that cloud the mind. Everything from the gut goes right to the brain. I mean, we've seen, oh gosh, everything from lifelong depression, lifelong anxiety. A lot of these, anytime someone says lifelong, I'm like, oh, your mom had it too. Yeah, it's genetic. I'm like, yeah, that's what they tell you, but it's not genetic. They're being passed on. These pathogens are being passed on. And this is my explanation for a lot of health issues that people have. Well, mom had a bad liver, so, I got a bad liver. Well, there is some energetic transfer. We know that. There is definitely that. There's some energetic transfer from mom or father to child. But I'm finding that these pathogens are the biggest thing. They're being passed on. And once they're in, they just discovered back, when Ebola was the thing we were all supposed to be terrified about, they found that it was transferable in a sperm cell. So they're just starting to see that some of these things that I've been doing this stuff for 20 years. So I'm taking you way down the line with a lot of this knowledge because they just don't even know about cell wall deficient forms, mycoplasms. They don't understand parasites. We all have parasites all the time. We think a parasite, a big giant worm crawling around inside of us. We have microscopic parasites all the time, nanobacteria. We have all kinds of stuff that can go wrong with in the mind and body that confuses the system. All these autoimmune diseases out there. What the heck? Why would a body attack itself? I mean, I just ask these questions because, wait a minute, this just doesn't seem normal. Even down to suicide, even clear to suicide. Look at some of these football players with the CTE stuff. They're getting their heads banged around. That creates inflammation. When the body has inflammation, these pathogens will move from the stomach up and into these regions and set up shop and start multiplying and causing these crazy diseases, clear and including suicide. I call them suicide bugs. I've seen them in people before. I've seen self-deprecating bugs in people. I call them old man bugs. When people, a 25-year-old gets up out of a chair. Oh, I'm like, you're 25. What the, and he's got, my dad has it. My mom has it. What the heck is going on there? Why are we not looking deeper at these things? In my mind, I'm just, I'm a skeptic. Here we are talking. I'm talking about angels, and I'm the biggest skeptic there is. I'm the worst. I'm going to take it apart and be sure what's going on and why something actually works. I'm worse than anybody out there. And in that vein, everyone listening has had an angelic experience. I mean, you've had an angelic experience, right? Even if you were like, gosh, that was lucky. Oh my gosh, things could have been really different. Yeah, bless my angels, right? But then you forget about it and you go on about your business because you didn't see them. And so that's what us humans do. We don't see it. We don't really give it any, we don't give it a second thought. We kind of, there's a, everybody has had that happen. And you're shaking your head. Yeah, absolutely. You have. You've probably had it happen more than once, a few times in life where you're like, gosh, count my lucky stars. We kind of just move it aside and kind of poo-poo it and just go on with our lives without really considering it was probably an angel. Could have been a piece of advice. I mean, I had a landlady. She was an angel. Her name was Ida Murray, and she instilled in me the desire to go to school and become a doctor. And she wouldn't stop. And I was like, would you just, I used to cuss her out. Would you just shut up? Jesus, I'm not going to school. I mean, she wouldn't stop. She wouldn't stop and never stopped. Every time I came home, every time I saw her, she would give me some kind of praise and encourage me to go to school. And so, these are people in our lives and these are events that happen. And, that's one thing with the training is one of our models is seeing is believing. So within the first hour, I don't try. I have someone who's never done any healing, has zero experience healing, fix something, either something on someone in the class or someone remotely within the first hour. So everyone starts off seeing, because as you see it by the end of the class, end of the training, every single person has had a miracle or done something that there's no other way to describe it. You're fixing someone's headache across the room or a bad knee from 25 years of hopping around on a knee, getting ready for a knee replacement, and somebody who has no experience fix it across the room. Of course, of course, they say, really, it's gone. I mean, would you get up and jump around on that, please? Let's make sure, and once you see it enough, you start seeing it, you start believing it. And when you believe it, then you can have faith. And it does require some faith. I'm not going to sit here and say, you can just come in and you can doubt it the entire time. They don't like that. They're not going to work for you. So by seeing it, you have that belief, and belief comes faith. Really, by the end of the third day, everybody is doing it, and so it's very exciting. It's very rewarding. I'm so honored and blessed. I just live in a state of gratitude. I never ever imagined this is what I would be doing, but we need an army of people doing this, calling on these angelic beings to help people, and this is what's taken over my life at this point.
Wow. Okay. That is awesome. So I love some of the things that you brought up about seeing is believing, because here we're talking about angels and things that you can't see. And so we brush it off. And then you turn it into, I'm the biggest skeptic you've ever seen, and I want proof, and I want to see things in order to believe it. But what you're seeing are the results of what you're doing. And so you kind of have to take that first step before you can get the results. So one step of not seeing before you're allowed to see the results. And I think that's kind of what faith is. It's where you do something that you didn't see, and then you expect the results afterwards. So that's really interesting. Now, you're talked about quite a bit about pathogens and how that affected the body. And then you skipped into something else. And I don't know if they're connected. In my mind, it was a skip. Can you help us understand the pathogens, how you get rid of those?
Well, we use angels. And back in the 20s, there was a cat. I just love calling him a cat. He was just a really groovy dude. His name was Raymond Royal Rife. I mean, what a name. And we all should follow him around. But he was way ahead of his time. He was an inventor of microscopes that were doing things no one had ever even imagined they could do. So and they were big, giant. They were half the size of this room, these microscopes, and he was seeing these tiny microbes in them, all kinds of cataloged and registered, all kinds of stuff. It's just a shame all his work is mostly lost. But one of the things he discovered was how you match the radio frequency of a pathogen, it will explode. And it's no different for humans. It's like the champagne glasses with a woman. Is it Memorex? Is it live, or is it Memorex? And boom, the glasses shatter. Well, that's the same thing that happens with pathogens. We match frequencies using angels to have them be wiped out in the body, and it's nearly instantaneous. And it is different for everyone. Sometimes people are, I was working on a cat yesterday, and he's an old cat. And when I say cat, he's a big cat, a great big cat. And, it took a while. It took a couple of sessions to really get him to start stretching out and rolling around. Pretty soon he's doing all these motions because he was full of arthritis. And arthritis is a pathogen, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these things that, they just want to cover up with a medication are pathogens. And so you modulate the angels to match these frequencies, and instantaneously they disappear. And they're causing pain, they're causing floaters, they're causing blurry vision, sore throats. And look what's happening in the world right now, and all these different things all these things that people don't have answers for. You got a bad shoulder, you've had a bad shoulder for a long period of time. And, everybody's worked on it, and there's acupuncture and chiropractic and all these different things, and mind body work, all this different stuff. And usually we'll take just 1 second. Well, let's see, that's a pathogen in there, because they love the articular surfaces of joints. So we find this in, there's certain parts of the body that we find them, that I teach you, that you just go up and squeeze, and hey, is that tender? Yeah, why would that be tender? It doesn't bother you in your everyday life, but when you squeeze it, it's tender. What the heck is that? I find this in knees all the time. I can go just probably 8 of 10 people in the class. I just walk through, I just come through and squeeze their knee. And like, how in the hell did you know that was tender? I said, well, that's a reservoir for these things. They have certain parts of the body that they'll sit in and they'll multiply in. And then when you ever had a paper cut that wouldn't go away? Yeah, not to drive you nuts. You're like, that stupid little paper cut still bothered me 2 weeks later, right? Everybody's had that just about. Or a sliver that just won't go away. Those are pathogens. They're microscopic. They don't look like, what we've been taught in microbiology class. When we were in microbiology class, we spent about 30 seconds on cell wall deficient forms, and everyone listening can go out and Google cell wall deficient forms and take a look. It'll blow your mind. You won't believe what you see. And these things can cause everything from A to Z. Name me as the disease, and they could be the cause. And science is catching up, but they don't have the tools to treat a lot of these things. Even, well, I don't want to get into specific diseases, but a lot of this stuff, they just don't have anything to, most people, I don't know, I don't know. That's what they tell us. I don't know. Or they just start dishing out medications and hoping that it works. And now they're doing crazy stuff using, medication for, schizophrenia for sleep. They're doing crazy stuff with these medications. It's just unbelievable. I've seen the craziest stuff. I just had a woman with 6 high blood pressure medications on. They were giving her 6 different high blood pressure medications. And I looked at her for 2 minutes, not even 2 minutes, a minute. And this has nothing to do with your heart. It's all your liver, gallbladder, and your kidneys, and yada, yada, yada. I treated it. She said, well, I have the best doctor on the planet, yada, yada. So I'm sure he's a good doctor, but you may just want to go in and have a complete checkup on your heart. Everything. Go to the best place and get everything checked. Make sure that you need all these meds. She was 100. She had the heart of a 12-year-old. She's 65.
Wow.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with any of her volumes, ejection volumes, or EKG. Nothing was wrong with her heart at all. These meds were killing her. They were killing her. She was going down a really bad road. And she couldn't eat. She couldn't sleep. Her mind was starting to come in, being like, well, maybe this is it. Her father died when he was young from a heart problem. It just had nothing to do with the heart.
Fascinating. Okay. And you were able to detect that so quickly. That's wonderful.
That's what another thing we teach in class is having this, we try to access consciousness should have the knowledge for us. And once we access that and say, okay, here's what I think it is, let's use the angels and see what kind of result we have. We're flipping a lot of coins and hoping and praying just as much as anyone else. But you usually know really quick if this is going to help or not. Usually and I'm doing these programs now. I've just been, I've gotten so busy over the years. I think, I don't even know, we're a few months out to see me live by myself. So we're doing these free calls. We've been doing a lot of these free calls, getting ready and showing people so that if they're interested in the training, you can see them on the website. We're going to be doing again in a week or two. But another thing that I'm doing are these programs. And it's 4 1-hour sessions over the course of a month. And it's as many people, because this is just vibration. So we had, I think we had 40 people on these free calls recently. 80% of the people had aches and pains that haven't checked their hands, checked their neck, checked their back, checked their knees, checked their whole body. And 80% of people are like, yep, we all have aches and pains. And the other 20% had worse stuff going on. But by the time we got done in the first 10 minutes, 90% of those 80% of people, so 30 of the 40 people were 90% better.
Wow. Okay.
It's just a vibration. These are just vibrations come in and they just change the nervous system and wake up the immune system and eliminate these broad spectrum of pathogens, and those aches and pains disappear. So then what I did is I went through and said, okay, who still has it? And then we started narrowing it down. And by the end of the first 30 minutes, we had everyone down to 0 aches and pains. And then I went after the diseases, because there was a lot of diseases on these calls, a lot of crazy, all kinds of just crazy stuff. UTIs are unhealable, crazy kidney stones, recurrent kidney stone infections, and spinal stenosis, and just all kinds of weird things that doctors just don't really know what to do with these people, And there's who doesn't know somebody who's sick that can't seem to get help? Everybody, we all know somebody who is sick, who is trying everything and just can't seem to find help. It's sad, but that's the state of our healthcare these days. And it's no different in alternative healing. We're running out of things that work. And this is just something new that just not a lot of people are using yet. But we're having it's just so gratifying. The emails I'm getting from people who've taken the training, the mothers. I have one mother out there. She has 3 kids, and they haven't called for help now in 8 months. I think she was in the first class. Her son had an undiagnosable eye condition where he literally couldn't look at a computer more than 30 seconds without stabbing eye pains. And I couldn't even fix that. I tried and tried. And she, with this knowledge, she treated him every day, a couple times a day. And within the first 2 weeks, it was 100. She got all of it. I just couldn't see him often enough. And sometimes it requires somebody, some other person's vibration. So she was better at it than I was for him, to help him. It makes me mad because of my bank account has gone to zero. I'm not taking care of 4 people, but I'm joking. I'm just, it's just I'm so grateful that she's able to do that for her own family. And now her daughter's coming to the next class, and I'm sure the son will be coming, and then they're all going to do the training. They're just seeing how well the kind of results she's had.
Okay. So since there's only one of you, and for those who feel like I am so willing to give this a try because it sounds so amazing, do you recommend then that they get the training and work on themselves? And how do they get that?
Well, like I said, I'm doing this program is the best way to see me one-on-one. I'm doing it. Whoever signs up. I think we only have like 6 or 7 people right now. It doesn't matter how many people sign up. Everybody's going to get some one-on-one time in these 4 1-hour sessions. They're amazing. It's amazing. The other thing that people can do is, if you just want to check it out, go to my website. Or at the very top, the first thing you see is free calls. And I don't know when we're doing them. I have a whole team behind me. I can barely get on a computer, as you know. I can barely close my. I am completely computer illiterate. And I don't do any emails. I just got a phone a couple of years ago. So I'm lucky. I'm very fortunate to have a whole team behind me. They make me look good. Like I said when we started, they have a lot of filters, a lot of things that make me look fresh and excited. No, I'm joking. I'm always excited about working and training and doing these things. But there's free calls. We're going to start them up again, I think, in a couple of weeks. If you're just curious and want to see, get on one of these calls. It'll absolutely blow your mind. It's shocking. I mean, it really is. I mean, every time I walk into the office, I'm shocked. I'm going to be working as soon as we're done until 10 tonight, and it's just, I don't know every day is exciting because you just don't. I'm gonna have a miracle. I mean, I'm gonna have a miracle today. And every single class we have miracles. I mean, we must have had 6 or 7 at the last one. I just got an email from a woman a couple of days ago that was facing a double mastectomy, and they went in to do another biopsy on one of her breasts, and they couldn't find anything, a shadow, a scar, they canceled the biopsy. So now she's got to go back and start all over again. Yeah, they couldn't find anything. Now I have no reason to tell you that. I have it on an email. She texted me. She's flew off to Cuba. She's celebrating. She can't believe it. The doctor's like, well, we're not going to do anything. We can't find any. There's nothing here. And that was, I think, 3 days after the training. And I think it's all going to go away. And it was like, if I remember right, it was stage 3. They were getting ready to, one for sure was going to be removed, and they were talking double mastectomy. Just based on palpation, they felt so many cysts inside her other breast. So these are the kind of, that's miracle stuff. And that was in the class. And so for people who are curious, I'm sorry, I have a big mouth. People who are curious, get on a free call, check it out. Or if it sings to you, just come to the training. If I had only had this training 25 years ago, it would have saved a lot of heartache, would have saved a lot of struggle, because we go right to all of this stuff. I'm a farmer at heart. I grew up on a farm. We used to take all kinds of big things apart and make it really easy for systems to work. And that's kind of what I've done. I put it into a really easy to follow manual. And if somebody is interested in healing, we've had everything from, we've had osteopaths, our acupuncturists, down to grandmas and mothers. We had a 74-year-old woman come last time. She's just curious, and she just had an absolute miracle. She must have lost. We should have done before and after photos, because she lost 25 years off of her life at least. She had, as a child, she fell on her head, broke her neck, lifelong issues with her neck. Her hands were numb, waking up every morning with numb hands till noon. Blurry vision. Oh gosh, she had all pain in the jaw, non-relenting from the time she was 12. All of that was gone the first day. I don't know what you call that. You have to call it a miracle. And so much of it was emotional. So much of it was emotional. Imagine a 12-year-old kid that slips and falls on top of her head, and she felt like it was her fault, and I think her mom yelled at her or something. I mean, I don't really remember exactly what happened, but someone added to the trauma. Hey, what were you doing, dummy? And you know, these things go in and are not released with therapy. Years and years of tapping, all these different things we try to do to have those emotions released. Gosh, they just don't cut the mustard a lot of times. As soon as I started up on her, oh my God, it's all right here in her neck. And all I was doing was, I think, bringing to mind, misery, and the grief it caused her. I mean, we had to do a few things, and there was tons of pathogens in there. But the body likes to be unwound a certain way. You can't just come in and go, oh, I think it's this. Let's just try this. You have to have a program that unwinds the mind to a certain degree, because the mind is like a lock and key. And if we had just gone in and fixed the physical stuff, the emotional stuff probably would have brought all the pain back within a day or two. So it's the first thing I teach you. We just go in and figure out what's priority, even if it looks blatantly like the guy with the motorcycle guy. It looks, obviously he broke his shoulder, he broke his collarbone, broke his scapula, broke his humerus, and had a huge hematoma up and down his leg. It looks physical, but it was all emotion locking 90% of that pain in there. And we see this all the time. And so you just can't do what you think. You have to just kind of be curious and ask good questions, and it'll lead you right to what's the cause.
That is so interesting. Is there anything that you want to make sure that we cover before we close today?
No, I think only be sure to wake up and spread the joy around this planet, be loving and kind to one another. The vibration of joy, love is the most important thing. We all know that. I'm not telling you anything new, but gosh, don't we need more joy? we just need more joy. If we had more joy across the globe and the planet and between, if you put a smile on somebody's face, not only do they get a nice smile, it just feels so good to spread joy around. And so I always like to tell people, hey, if we can just raise that vibration of joy, this whole place would be a lot, we'd all be a lot better off. So I guess that would be the only thing I want to add.
I love that. What a beautiful message. Well, thank you so much, Dr. T, for visiting with me today and for enlightening me. This is a lot to think about.
Well, enjoy it, and please come to my website, check it all out. There's all, I always joke, we give away so many things, and everyone listening, there's a lot of free stuff on the website. There's a lymph video that is huge for you. There's a heart resonance technique on there that's amazing. It's a beautiful thing. There's Relax to Heal is a hypnosis recording that I did years ago that really just helps your subconscious clean out stuff. There's a lot of intention built into it. All that stuff's free. So go check it out. And you have to put your email in, and they'll bombard you with stuff, and then you just take your name off the list. But get that free stuff, because it's really good, really powerful. And I think we're even giving away a house somewhere on there. I'm joking. It's my joke now. It's a mouse house, but it's a house. Okay. Well, you have a great day. Thanks so much for having me, Linda. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. T. In closing, I'd like to share a quote by Dieter F. Uchtdorf. He said, "Healing comes when we choose to walk away from darkness and more towards a brighter light." Today, I invite you to find a path of healing that works for you. See you next time on Linda's Corner. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of Linda's Corner, please share and subscribe to help us reach new listeners. I also invite you to check out my nonprofit, Hope for Healing, at the website hopeforhealingfoundation.org for free ebooks, free audiobooks, and other free resources to help increase happiness, build confidence and self-esteem, strengthen relationships, manage stress, and calm feelings of depression and anxiety. I also invite you to grab a copy of one of my books, like Crushed, A Journey Through Depression, or Amazon bestseller, You Got This, an action plan to calm fear, anxiety, worry, and stress. See you next time on Linda's Corner.